What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is the video I've been waiting to make for a very long time, and hopefully you've been looking forward to it as well. We finally have all three American supercars back to back to back. We have the 2019 Ford GT, 2024 Z06, and the 2006 Ford GT. Surprisingly, all of these also have right about the same amount of horsepower, about 647, 670, and this one's modified about 650. So it should be a really, really good comparison. Also to see the different technology changes over time, and twin turbos V6, the naturally aspirated V8, the supercharged V8. This one's an older generation, this one's brand new, this one's a few years old. It'd be really interesting to see how these all compare. So we're gonna get them all out on the road, drive them, compare them, enjoy them. I don't think we're gonna have an actual clear winner, but we're just going to see how they compare. It's going to be pretty awesome. Here we go. We're going to drive them in this order. 2019 Ford GT Heritage Edition. There's only about 50 of these in the world. Pretty amazing car. Then we're going to drive the brand new, only 800 or so miles on it, the 2024 Z06. I love this car. This is kind of more my personal daily driver type of car. And then here is the classic 2006 Ford GT Heritage Edition. About 343 of these that were made. Not nearly as many left out on the road due to accidents and so forth. So we're going to get all of them out on the road in that order, and let's have a bunch of fun. So here we are, guys, in the 2019 Ford GT, and surprisingly this car is actually extremely easy to drive, especially with the DCT transmission. It's just, you can just get in and just drive it, potentially even like a daily driver. Now it's hardly not practical at all because there's no storage. There's, it's kind of a rough ride, sticky tires. So you wouldn't want this to like really be a daily driver of yours, but if you just needed to just get in the car and go somewhere, it's actually extremely easy to do, which is kind of exactly what I just did. But now I'm getting into the twisties, so let's go for a little bit harder of a drive. Suspension and sticky tires, this car handles extremely well in these hill country roads. So we're going to turn it up to sport mode, and then I'm going to try to see if we can really listen to the turbos. And when it comes to like the driving experience of hearing and feeling the car, I think the turbo sound of this car is unreal. I think that really puts it as the sound that rivals the other two cars with their actual exhaust. The exhaust on this car, of course, it's a V6, it's turbocharged, so it's muffled a little bit. It's not that great. It's good for a V6, just not that great. But the turbo noises really, really help and emphasize that sound and that visceral feeling of driving a car like this. So it spools a little faster. There's really not a whole lot of turbo lag in this car. It's really, really built well. It just sound. I don't know if the sound is really going to come through like it should here on this camera, but the sound is just absolutely insane. It's so cool. But as you can expect, really, really poor rear visibility back there. There's no camera mirror like there is on the Z06. Those things didn't exist even just 5 years ago, or if they did, they weren't on a car like this. This car has a few more nannies like cruise control, stability control, traction control, things like that that the 2006 Ford GT didn't have. So that just again goes back to what I was saying about it being a very easy and comfortable car to drive if you needed it to be. Let's give it one last push. And so that is the 2019 Ford GT Heritage Edition. Absolutely incredible car. I don't drive the car that often, but when I do, it just blows my mind every single time. I just love it. And I mean, look at this. I just cannot get over how this car looks, how it drives. If there's ever a question of whether this is worth it, I mean, if you get the opportunity and you can afford it, I think it's worth it. It is an absolute monster and special in every way. It's not just fast, it's not just quick. There's a lot of quick, fast cars out there. This car is just something completely special. But you know what? Let's drive that brand new Z06 and see how it compares. Next up, let's take the Z06 out to do the exact same track. Here we are in the 2024 Corvette Z06. I don't know if you can hear it through the microphone right now, but it is a very different sound. Obviously, it's louder. The V8 sound itself compared to the V6 sound, just very obvious, even in just like regular cruising speeds, right? The big difference I see after coming from the Ford GT now into this car is, well, first of all, I'm way more comfortable with this car. I drive this car all the time, way more comfortable. But the amount of space you have in the driver's seat is insanely more in this car. The seats, I don't have the competition seats, so the seats don't quite bolster you in as tightly. The steering is incredibly loose. As tight as the steering actually is in this car, compared to that thing, this car just feels like it's just floating with the steering. It's crazy. I never really drove them back to back like this, and this is exactly why I wanted to have this comparison video, is so I could really compare the two. So here we are, we're back up in the same road. We're gonna turn it into Z mode, which is kind of like the, up from sport mode here in the Z06, and take it for a rip and kind of really compare and feel the difference between the cars. See, as soon as I did that, it adjusted the tone of how the engine works. There's the settings right there, and you heard it roar to life. Even though it was already in sport mode, that really took it to the next level. Now I'm comparing these in automatic, this and the Ford GT, just because it's easier to drive while we're recording, but you can really hear the difference. When I step on it, whew, look at that. The downshifts are amazing in this car. It really, like, if I really step on it, I don't have that turbo sound and that turbo boost feel, and like I did in the GT, of course, but the sound and the responsiveness of the throttle just make up for that really well. In this car, just as I kind of said when we were taking the Ford GT across these same roads, it handles incredibly well. Biggest differences between these two cars when you're driving on a road like this is not just the powertrain difference, but also the tires. The Ford GT has the Pilot Sport Cup tires. This really just has the Pilot Sport 4S tires. Still really sticky, and of course you can get the Cup tires if you went up to the Z07 package, which I did not on this car. But you know, even with these Pilot Sport tires, it may not feel quite as grabby in the corners, but still extremely sticky and very easy to maintain and handle. Let's put this bad boy in manual mode and take it up to maybe 8,000 or so RPM and listen to it. GT is not making this noise. Listen to that. Man. Good Lord. Yeah, if this car has anything over that 2019 Ford GT, it is the sound of this car. It is bananas. Man. And so that is the 2024 Z06. This car is incredible. Now, when I compare it back to back against the Ford GT, the Ford GT is just completely on a different level as far as just driving experience, how it feels, how it handles the road and everything. But this car is about as close as you can get without spending $1 million. Let's be real. So if anyone's out there wondering, hey, this Z06, it's better than the Ford GT because it's faster, because I saw this drag race online and saw that it's, a millisecond faster. Yes, it might be faster. The technology has come a long way, even just since from 2017 to 2023, between when the Ford GT was released and the Z06 was released. But the difference in just everything that's built in that car is considerably different. So even though, yes, it might be faster, yes, it might even beat it around some racetracks. VIR, I think the Lightning Lap was even faster on a Z07, Z06 package than on the Ford GT. I get that. But when you actually sit in the driver's seat of both and drive both, it's different. Is it justified to be a $1.2 million car? I don't know. Is it justified that it is, 8 to 9 times the price of this car? Maybe not. But they're not the same. They're not the same. This car is absolutely incredible, though. I'm in no way trying to insult this car. This is my daily driver. This is the car I can take around anywhere affordably and not have to worry too much about stuff. Whereas that Ford GT, I couldn't do that. So that Ford GT gets driven on special occasions. This car I can drive literally every day, and I do drive it every day that I get a chance to. It's an absolutely beautiful car, an amazing car. And last but not least, let's take out the 2006 Ford GT on the same track. And this is going to be different. It's a very, very different car from the first two. All right, so now here we are in the 2006 Ford GT. This is a very different car in many ways to the last two cars that we just drove. First of all, the 2019 Ford GT, although it shares the name and a similar color scheme, shares almost nothing else with this car. I mean, that one is a twin turbo V6. This is a supercharged V8. That is a dual clutch transmission. This is a standard transmission. There's almost not, it's a mid-engine rear wheel drive car. That's about the only thing that's similar between the two cars besides the logo on the front. So it's a very different driving experience, a big difference in what about 12 to 13 years of technology and the build quality is. Back in the mid-2000s when they built this car, Ford wasn't as big on building this super unique vehicle, and so they did a lot of just parts bin stuff. Everything from the knobs to the windshield wipers to the blinkers to the door handles. Everything is kind of just pieced from another car, and in a way that's a good thing because it made this very unique, strange, interesting car relatively cheap. The car's not really, there's bare panel right up here. There's not really a whole lot to this car. Whereas, the 2019 that I drove earlier, I was talking about how easy that car was to drive and how nice it felt and how smooth it felt. This thing feels like a raw, old muscle car, right? Because it was just kind of built that way. Now that we're out here on the Hill Country Road, let's turn it up and see how it drives compared to the others. Sound on this car is just absolutely amazing. Visibility is absolutely horrible. There's no visibility over your shoulder. There's hardly any visibility back there, so of course the rear view mirror is really bad. And the way this car drives and rides, it's very rough. It's not quite as a sports car rough as the 2019 Ford GT is, but it's rough. It's an old rough car. The suspension's not very stiff and forgiving. You can really feel every little bump in the road. Background is because I keep getting this door door ajar fault. I feel like I'm 10 miles over here in a GT40 and my door won't close. But don't worry, the door actually is closed. I've checked it 3 times now to make sure. So it's just something's up with the sensor and it keeps beeping at me. And finally, that was the 2006 Ford GT Heritage Edition. Now, it's got a few modifications if you weren't able to catch on to that. It's got an upgraded pulley, upgraded straight pipe exhaust, and a few other things to tune and everything. So it's got about 650 horsepower tuned, which is actually not far off from the other 2 cars. So of all 3 cars, they all have about the same horsepower. This one though, by far the slowest. Now, that's okay. You know, a lot of people would still prefer this car over maybe the other 2. It is a driver's car. You feel everything about this car. You feel the shifting, you feel the road, you feel the suspension. It just is a very mechanical car compared to the other 2. And it's very, very different. Some people absolutely love that feeling. Some people may hate that feeling, but that is exactly what this car is. This car feels completely different. The cockpit on the inside, everything about it's completely different. The way it's shaped, the way the seats, look at the seats. Let's look at these seats. These are plastic grommets. They dig into your back. It's hard. This door is functionally not a good idea. Look how far out it comes. You can't park in normal parking spots. You might knock your head off when you close it. It is not a car that is built for the modern day. However, if you want, I think, the ultimate driver's car that is only about, you know, what, less than 20 years old, this car will beat almost anything. Brand new, this car was about $135,000 with the Heritage package. Now they're going for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 for a really pristine, nice low mileage version. So amazing car, love everything about it, but very, very different. Now, for those of you who are still here, stick around for just a minute. I have one last treat for you guys. It's gonna be awesome. Here we go. All right, guys, if you stuck around this far, you might know exactly what we're getting into. If you can't tell, all of our cars are on right now, and there's only one reason why we would have all 3 of these cars turned on and idling right now. And yes, that is because we are gonna have a rev off. Let's go first. Actually, we're gonna go with the V6 first. I have a feeling it's probably not gonna, you know, catch up with the other 2. Let's do that one first. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that rev off. I need you to put something in the comments. I need you to tell me which car won the rev off. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video comparing these 3 amazing American cars. These are supercars, guys, every single one of them. These are amazing, so I love them. Anyway, I really appreciate you joining me today, and until next time, guys, adios.